What's up, everybody? Welcome to Season 3, Episode 2 of The Big Break Show. I'm so grateful for you guys to be here. Thank you for your patience in terms of the length of episodes, and hopefully you guys are listening to it and getting value. In this episode, I have Danny, a good friend of mine who I used to work with. He used to manage social media for me, and he came down and we did a bunch of content. Some of the content that I have in my prior Instagram feeds and YouTube videos, he came out and recorded and gave me some fantastic ideas. This guy's an absolute genius at social media. He only takes on a handful of clients a year to make sure that he's able to deliver the type of quality that he knows he can provide. His own page has like 450,000 followers from talking about health and wealth and fitness and social media posting. He's got all kinds of stuff. In this episode, he gives you tips and tricks to stand out in algorithms, how to market and how to get results, platforms and the styles to get. He gives a really unique way to approach content creation, which I think you guys are going to love. With that being said, I hope you enjoy the episode. If you guys have any comments, questions, let us know below. I'm here to serve you guys and to give you guys value so you guys can walk away with knowledge to be able to do something with your own business and life. I'll see you inside.
Welcome to The Big Break Show, your go-to podcast for real estate investing, business acquisition, mindset, and lifestyle.
Danny, what's up, buddy? I'm glad to have you on the podcast. I appreciate you coming on. How are you doing?
Thanks for having me. Doing good.
Yeah, we haven't chatted in a while, man. When's the last time I saw you?
Probably, 2 years now?
Yeah, it's been a long time.
Moved cross country. I moved across country. I moved middle country. You moved all the way back.
All right. So I'm glad you're on here because, one of the episodes I never really have is about content creation and stuff like that. And we were working together for a while doing the real estate stuff. And you're still in the space and you keep up with trends. And I'm sure you're still working with a lot of real estate guys, correct?
Yeah. I work with a few investors still, a few in the Airbnb space, a few in the flipping space.
So before we get into all that, I have some questions because I really want to get into the content stuff. And then I know you want to talk about a few topics, but tell everybody who you are, what you're about, somebody that's never heard of you that's going to listen to this and go, who is this guy and why is he on the podcast?
So in 16, about a few years after I graduated, I was choosing between school and content. My content at the time was blowing up. And basically decided to pursue content and made that my job for pretty much the foreseeable future of the last, 12 years or so, other than a few months near the pandemic. But I just kind of threw myself into the content scene as a content creator first. And so I learned a ton of the strategies and how to use a camera and how to edit and how to make things, attractable to my audience. I put just a lot of effort into trying to grow and meet the people that, I wanted to in the space. And so I did that for so long in my own, grew multiple pages to a combined total of around 450,000. But then my daughter was born. And so we kind of wanted to get out of the content space because, some people are fine with kind of having their family and their kids and their content. For me, it was a choice. I just through some experiences of kind of some crazy people, I chose not to. So as soon as my daughter was born, we kind of put content on the back burner. And so that's when I started to work with other companies and business owners and stuff. I started in sports and restaurants. And then Kyle Stanley, who was the fearless investor at the time, he was one of the first clients I ever worked with. He was in the Airbnb space. I basically just took a lot of the techniques that I taught myself over the years, applied it to his business, and just saw great results. In the marketing scene, there's a lot of people promising a lot of different things, right? And so the results, though, is actually what, matter. And so I was just getting those better than most people in the space. And so I grew quickly within the Airbnb, STR, kind of real estate investor space. And then over the years, I've just caught up with the algorithm and the changes being made, and people are kind of confused. And so I've just been able to kind of keep ahead with some of the clients that I have. And so I think it'd be great to just come on here and go over some of those. And then if you have any questions for me to update you, then let's get into it.
Yeah, thanks for sharing that, dude. I mean, there's a lot of things in there you threw that I really didn't know about. So I didn't know that you had, all those pages with that many followers. That's kind of crazy. And I remember because you showed me some of your pages of your prior stuff. So I'm actually kind of curious how did you keep up with the trends for social media if you weren't really doing the social media thing anymore? What did you do to make sure that you get back into it? Let's just, and I asked because I've taken breaks from social media and then I try to come back in. It's like I'm a dog chasing my own tail, right? I'm going in circles trying to figure out what it is that's new and how am I going to stand out?
Yeah, for me, so for my own personal stuff, I basically I maybe posted 5 times over the span of 2 years when I was really dedicated to my business. And that's just because like I didn't really need it for marketing. And at that time, I didn't even really utilize it. It wasn't really a smart thing that I did, but it was like, so quick story as far as how I got on social media is I used to weigh 312 pounds. I lost it all and then gained it all back. And then more. I'm now almost down 100 pounds again. But the first time I ever lost the weight, I was one of the first pages to kind of like lose the weight, but also like look fit because I worked out the entire time. And so I grew my social media in the weight loss kind of fitness space. And when I started to gain the weight back, content was just tough. And you can see this currently in the fitness realm. Like if you're a weight loss page and you lose weight, but then you start getting it back, people just like destroy you. And so at that time I was young. I was like 22, 23. I didn't have the mental like maturity to really deal with that. And so I kind of was like, I'm out. I'm done. It's too much. Now I'm back and making content, kind of a mix of lifestyle, weight loss, and fashion, actually. Just being a bigger guy, turned 30, I was like, I need to start paying attention to what I'm wearing. So I started to post fashion content that started to do really well. But that can be a leeway into my first point of like, it used to be that you could only kind of post one thing for social media. Like you really had to focus on your niche and like hyper, focus on, if you're in the STR space, only talk about STR. And now the way the algorithm works, it's way more beneficial for you to kind of post a variety of content. Now, if that leads to sales versus just growth is another question entirely. But the algorithm definitely favors more content than less nowadays as far as topics and volume.
I have a ton of questions about. I remember seeing a video that you showed me about the weight loss thing, but I don't want to touch on that right at this moment. I'm curious about the post one thing, your niche versus everything, and I'm glad you brought that up because one of the questions I had for you, because right now social media is about attention, right, and who it's placing you in front of. So like, I mean, even half the people I follow, I never see their posts ever.
Yeah.
Because I'm not focused on that, right? Everybody always thinks that, the phone's listening to you because it's the things that are popping up in front of you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So you're saying right now, if I start posting, I shouldn't just focus on Airbnb anymore. I could just start posting anything that intrigues me, and the algorithm will either take it in one direction or the other, and it might attract a different crowd than my Airbnb crowd. And it doesn't matter?
There is caveats to that. For example, if you've grown a large base of following on one specific topic, then leaning into a very different topic can be tough. Just because overall, you're going to get a much less following, like your own following, seeing that content than ever before. But at the same time, Instagram does take into account like the little that it does show to your current following. It's like, are they actually engaging with it? So if it's something that's like super off the cuff, then you might see some trouble there. But as a whole, like if you're growing a brand new page, you can pretty much post whatever. The difference I would say is, and this is something I focused on the last year and a half, there's a very, very big difference between growth and like getting a return on your investment of content, right? So like before, and you know this from working with me in the past, I've changed a lot since then as far as like, let's just get content out and then eventually sales will come, right? Like that mindset kind of works if your growth is just so big. Like I have one client that we've went from pretty much 0 to 15,000 followers in the last 3 months. We've been posting all stuff within his niche, but because that fast growth, like if he wants to throw up a story that's kind of more mindset focused, I'm like, go for it. Because, we're experiencing such fast growth from the content that we are putting out that filling in the gaps with other things is totally fine. And that kind of leads me to talk about like your funnel content, right? Like top, middle, bottom of funnel. Your top of funnel content is more that stuff that is going to reach a broader audience. So I don't recommend like going completely out of niche. So like if let's say you're like in the SDR space and you're watching this, like being like, oh, I'm going to post about, cars now. Like that might, reach some people that are like making a lot of money and are interested in cars, but that's not going to really reach the people that you want it to, as far as people who are interested in real estate, maybe learning about real estate or doing deals themselves. But posting within the realm of real estate, right? Like you're an STR person, but hey, we just flipped this house. Let me tell you about this awesome deal. That's totally fine. That's open season, right? Whereas before, if you did that, your people might be shown it and they're like, oh, I don't do house flipping. I do STRs, right? So that's the biggest difference is where it used to be Instagram's going to show your content to 75% of your own following, which is the following that you've made, that you've curated from, let's say, STR content. Then like you want it to be STR content, right? Now, 75% of the people seeing your content are completely new followers, new people that don't follow you. Hopefully they turn into followers, but they don't follow you. They don't probably know who you are, but they might be interested in the thing you're talking about. So that's why more than ever, like structure and technique of content is so important. Like you know this from when we worked together, like focusing on hooks was so key. It's like 5x now that it used to be. If you don't have a great hook now, like you can pretty much count that video goodbye. Like it's not.
Yeah. So you brought something up that I'm really curious about. Talk about structuring technique of content for a second. What does that mean and how do you do it right?
There's a simple formula that I follow with my clients, and you can steal it. I don't care. It's basically like the first 0 to 5 seconds, and sometimes even 0 to 3, depending on how like quick engaging your audience is. I'd say if you have a younger audience, it's more 3 seconds. If you have an older kind of moderate audience, it's more 5. And that's how close these things matter now. Like if you're not on it, like you're gonna lose people. But yeah, the first 5 is really like hooking people in, right? The general hook, the like curiosity. Someone has to, feel something or want to learn something or be entertained by you immediately, right? And so there's a few ways to do this. There's like text hook, which is the title card on your video. There's visually, which is like you're moving. Maybe you're like pouring a coffee while you're saying the hook. And then there's the saying, the spoken hook, right? The like start of your video. Say you're talking about STRs and you're talking about a deal that just made you 6 figures. You're like, I never thought this deal would make me 6 figures, but I need to tell you how because it changed my life or whatever it is, right? That's a very just basic off the top hook. But whereas just the spoken used to be good enough, now it's like you kind of have to combine all 3. Like, why would you not? So if you're speaking, have movement, have some sort of like visual interest, like I said, pouring a coffee, it can be as simple as like taking glasses off, like, hey, this is the deal that I just did. Like some simple movement can really like intrigue people, right? So that's the first 0 to 5 seconds. The 5 to 10 seconds is if you've not connected that emotion to what you're talking about. This is where I usually do that with clients. So like maybe you're trying to teach something about a deal, but they've gotten hooked in with what what you're going to say about the deal, but they're like, why does this matter to me? It's like, oh, because we had so much frustration with this deal, or this deal like changed my family's future, like some sort of emotional attachment to what you're talking about. So then like that person is way more intrigued about like, oh, I could imagine feeling like that. And then the third thing and the most important, I think most people miss this is that probably like 10 to 15 seconds is you have to promise a deliverable. Like you have to open a curiosity loop that has to be closed. And so like people will start to talk, they'll have a great hook, they'll connect it emotionally, and then they'll just get into it. And then like when they get into it, the 15 to 30 second mark, people are just talking. And people are like, I don't know where this is going. I don't know what I'm getting. Why am I watching this video? Swipe, right? So I always like to say like, always kind of open a curiosity loop by saying exactly what you're going to do. So if you've nailed the hook, you've nailed the emotion, then be like, hey, and I'm going to show it to you in the next 60 seconds. Or, hey, and I saved this strategy I want to share with you right now. Like, let's promise something that they are going to get from the video.
So you have a pretty clear framework of it.
Yeah.
From what it sounds like from top to bottom. And you can basically take anybody's niche and talk about one specific accomplishment or something that they're interested in and go from attention grabbing, what about audio actually? And I like in terms of the way you can attract attention. So if I do like a visual, I also have a really good hook in terms of speaking. Does audio matter if you start audio at a specific point for maybe like, oh, that's a good beat, and people kind of stay on because they like the beat? You think that matters?
It can. It's those are like what I say is like the bottom of the pyramid kind of things. I don't know. Sorry, top of pyramid. I don't know. But basically like the things that like, yeah, maybe that'll matter with 3%, right? It might give you that little boost. Like once you have everything else locked in, that's where you can start to focus on things like audio and music. But like even music nowadays, like, I mean, you can look at it yourself, like unless the content you're following is kind of like trends that are attached to music, just a simple like backtracking beat is totally fine. And timing wise, it's more so just a carrier of flow than it is like, oh, this is going to make the difference. Where it really comes down to, I think the other most important thing that other than just your structure and technique is honestly just how you sound. Like some people are just not great speakers, and it's tough. Like nowadays, like you're competing with people who are like exciting and have like different flexions in their voice and are really good at like grabbing attention. And especially within each niche, there's like, you can probably think of like in real estate, I think one of the best probably storytellers, and is probably the reason why he's so successful, is Pace Morby. Like he's so captivating by literally just what he's saying. right? And the stuff you might not believe it, you might disagree with it, agree with it, whatever, but he's getting your attention because he's a great speaker and storyteller. So I've said this for clients in the last 2 years. If you are someone in the business space or real estate space that like has the time and has the money, wants to really grow your content and push it to the next level, hire a speaking coach. Like it's like bottom level stuff that could just drastically have an ROI and fast track your growth by a ton, because
it's interesting that you say that. Yeah, no, it's interesting that you say that, and I love that you said that because most people think about it only as if you're going to speak on stage. Like I've always said, hey, you should get one if you're going to speak on stage, but never for content. And I've seen some people that actually have done coaches, and you can see the level of changes in the way that they present, the way that they talk, the way that their tonality comes off, the way that they actually do the structure of the actual presentation itself completely changes, right? It's attractive.
Yep.
You think they're funny, things like that. That's that's a good point, man. I'm gonna have to think about that one. I like that one a lot, actually. I want to talk about your funnel and content deal, because let's say somebody comes in and they follow your structure that you're saying now, and I'm tying it all together because I want to know the data that you're pulling all this from as well. But let's say somebody comes in. Do you put content based on the end goal, or are you just putting content out just to put content out? What I mean is, like, is there like a school community? Is it you're just trying to raise some capital? Is it you just want to show off your properties for credibility? Like, do you put content based on the end goal, or is it you just putting content out? Like, what are your thoughts around that?
It depends, and then the time frame of which you're going to see results also changes. I recently had a conversation with a friend, and I was like, the best clients I can have is the ones that like don't need to make money now, but just want to like kill content. Because if you're trying to sell, you're always going to get less results in growth, right? If you look at all the greats in the business space, as far as social media is concerned, like they built a huge brand, like the Hermosis and stuff. If you watch back, like he didn't sell forever. Like he didn't have a clear offer. He didn't have an ad. He wasn't in ads until he had this huge following base.
Right, but what did you say that? So really quick, wouldn't you say that then that his point at that point was for credibility? So his angle was credibility in the beginning?
Basically going to get into, like, if you're not selling, you can just make great content, right? And so your growth will be that much greater. Whereas if you're focused on like, hey, like I want to make content, but I need a return like pretty quick, like 3-6 months, then the results on both ends are going to be less, because you're going to focus on 2 months of growth and then try and capitalize on it for a month. Then you're going to do another 2 months of growth and try and capitalize on it for a month, or then have some CTAs leak, here and there throughout the week, or give some lead magnets, then get them in your email list, and then sell them from there. But you're just going to have, like, I always tell my clients, like, you kind of want to choose one or the other in phases. It's like seasons, right? With business, or with balancing business and life. It's like seasons. So you have a season of growth, you have a season of sell. You have a season of growth, season of sell. That's the best way to do it. Unfortunately, a lot of people are like, I want to get in content game because I want to make more money and I want to make more money now. Well, you're going to get mediocre results, right? It used to be that, you could kind of do that. And because selling was honestly easier, like the trust factor of like the content, like population, like people you're making content for, is much less, because there's just so many people trying to, be the next coach or be the next this or that. And so like the trust you probably are seeing this in your own business. Like you have to try a bit harder and go a bit deeper to get the kind of same results you got 5 years ago. But yeah, so with that also applies to the content kind of coaching scene, or even just deals. Like, some of my clients are just like, I don't really care about coaching, but I just want to like get my name out there so I can hopefully do more deals. And so that's harder to track, obviously. But like, if your goal is growth, then there's a clear formula you can follow to achieve that. The only thing I didn't get into yet, as far as what can help with that, is I like to call it like an outlier. And this is not something I created. I've heard it from other people in the space. But basically, like, now is a great time. And the reason I say it's kind of the best time for content creators and people who want to start businesses and all that is that because you can create so much variety of content and still get results, you can try so many things, right? Like before it was like, hey, sit down, bust out 30 videos and see if they work. And hopefully you'd get growth. But now you can basically, I go shoot 20 videos. 5 of them are this different style of hook and visually. 5 of them are outside. 5 of them are with a whiteboard. 5 of them are talking head. 5 of them are like a a side-by-side kind of clone style, like trying these different styles and trends of videos to see which connect best with your audience. So like my mindset coach client, we just did a kind of like a more like writing out on like a whiteboard or like a piece of paper kind of style of content that performed 10x versus his just talking head content. So it's like, if you have something that performs 5-10x, just do that. Like just go into that, have 70% of the stuff you do be that style of content that's getting you results now. And then do that until the wheels fall off. Like until you stop or results start coming slower, then you start to go through that same formula again of like, okay, let's find a style that works. Let's try something new. Before it was like, find what works, do that 70%, and then test with the rest of the stuff. Now it's almost the opposite. It's like, if you're getting fresh into it, test a ton, find what works, and then just follow it until, like I said, until it stops working.
So that leads me to my next question about data and testing. What is it that you're looking at when you track these the performance of these videos? I mean, you kind of gave some away right now, but I have we have a couple of VAs that are helping us with basically post stuff for social media now, right? Like on Facebook, I'm trying to ramp up the Facebook deal,
Yep.
and different platforms. And they just started, and I'm trying to get them to understand that, look, any post that we put out, I need to see the data. How did it perform in 3 weeks, right? 90 days. How did we perform in 7 days? What's our viewpoints? Like things like that, stuff that people don't look at, like the science, right? Behind the actual posting. What is it that you're looking at in terms of metrics that people should be looking at in their content to see if it's successful or they can continue to follow that trend, as you were just saying?
The cool thing is Instagram kind of just gave this away for free in the recent update. The number one thing, like I said, is still hook, like your skip rate. So if your skip rate is high, that's where they're already going to not push that video out very much, right? So skip rate is basically like how many people see your video, what's the percentage of people skipping past before the first like 3 or 5 seconds, I believe it is. If that skip rate is high, that video is almost dead on entry. The second
is that the new algorithm that you're saying?
Yeah. So the Instagram just released like new analytics and they put it in order of importance. So skip rate, you can actually see this. I don't know if I can show up on camera here. So these are what it shows now. So this one's skip rate, then it's share rate, then it's like rate, save, repost, comment. So
let me see if I can pull mine up as you keep going. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, no worries. So yeah, the skip rate is the percentage of views from people who skip during the first 3 seconds of your video. So if that rate is high, you're toast, right? So those first 3 to 5 seconds, like I said, are the most important. Besides that, it's shareability, right? Like and that's why storytelling content has became kind of way more important than like the visuals and high-end stuff, is because people want personability and they want something that they can send to someone that they know that's like, hey, this is funny, this is entertaining, this is something I learned something great from this. Oh, did you know this? Like, oh, this is crazy. Like all those type of emotions makes you want to go, oh, I need to send this to the group chat. I need to send this to a friend, a business partner. That's the second most important. And then, like I said, likes, save, all the rest of the stuff. But I think if you focus mainly on like, is this video capturing attention? Is it relatable and shareable? And then are people going to actually like it? As in, oh, I got value from this so much that I'm going to like double tap and like this video. If you're not reaching those, then I would just spend the time to do so. I was just going to say, like, that's the thing with volume now. It's like, if you like, I used to, when I worked with clients, I would charge them like, hey, I'm going to get you this amount of videos. I still do in a way, but at the same time, like if I'm close to a client and we can focus way more on quality than quantity, that's way more important than ever. Like I'm like scripting out the hook. I'm writing the part where we're getting the emotion. I'm making sure that we have some sort of CTA in the middle or the end, as far as, is this going to be shareable? And is the information we're talking about actually going to be interesting to many people? Like, is it going to be something that people want to go, oh my gosh, did you know this? Or did you see this? So news updates are great. Like if you're in the Airbnb space, Airbnb is dropping news almost every week. Be the news dropper. Be the first to the report. Yeah. Have that information come in, go, did you see what Airbnb just did? Here, this is going to be so frustrating for hosts. Let's get into it. Make sure you send this to hosts so they know. Like that's going to pop for sure.
Yeah, I love that, dude. One of the things that there's a guy that I follow that he just drops news about what the government does. And I'm like, it's not like political in any way, just stuff that's going on. Like, oh, UFO files were released today. Oh, NASA's shooting up a new thing to the space and things like that. And I just watch his videos because they're entertaining. And I'm like, I didn't even know that was happening around the world. And then I'll share that stuff. I like the idea of sharing videos. I think if we focus around that a little bit more, because I love to share funny videos and stuff that I actually intrigues me or that I am like into. I'm like, oh, dude, you got to listen to this, or you got to watch this, or oh my god, this is hilarious. Um, okay, but I want to go into like granular in terms of tracking this data. So I understand what you're saying in terms of like Instagram, but is there like
Yeah.
do you have spreadsheets where you can show videos where you go, okay, look, these type of videos with this call to action at the 90-second mark, we had retention and then everything drops because at this mark, the audio changed or we just didn't do a visual change or whatever. I'm talking about like granular. Do you track that kind of stuff?
Yeah, so the most important things that I've tracked over the past with clients is really less about video per video and is more of really capitalizing on when you do have success. So at the start, if you're just posting like and trying to find like if you're still having that one video that did that like 5 to 10x. So if you haven't found the video that maybe you're getting an average of 500 views and you didn't have a video get 25, 5,000, 10,000, then I wouldn't really worry about tracking. I would just continue to trial and error post until you find that outlier. Because once you find that outlier, you have something to look at and track and replicate, right? And then once you're like, now you're making content, you're getting decent views, and then you're having like, because eventually you'll get to the point where instead of average of views, you'll have like an average like kind of floor, but then you'll be kind of sporadic through that into your ceiling, right? And so once you have that trend of videos that you can see consistently do better than your other ones, that's where then I would take all those. Let's take your top 10 videos of the last 90 days, put them all together. Which ones had to, one of the easiest things to track is really important is average watch time, right? So like how much is people watching watching your videos? If the average watch time is low, then you know that probably correlates to the skip rate being higher. So that's an easy thing to track of like, hey, whatever we did here, we need to look at this video and wonder why the average watch time was so low. If your average watch time is really high, okay, what did we really do well on this video? And then apply that to other videos. And like I said, it's much easier to take data from a kind of a pool of videos that have done well than it is to track. Like I still track every video for the most part with our clients, but the biggest thing is like, okay, now that we've had success, what can we do to replicate it? Because that's where the growth difference between like slow, steady growth to like, oh, okay, we've found it and we're utilizing it and we're replicating it. And now we're growing at like, 10x. Like my client that grew 15K in the last like 3 months, it was just that. It's like we found an outlier. It's a reaction style kind of video. The title is the same. Once I found that worked, that structure has been replicated. If you go to his page, probably like 30 times at this point. But every single one of those style of videos with that style of title, with that style of text, with the format, does well almost every single time, right? That's something that you couldn't really do back in the day because like your algorithm point would be kind of set. Like you might have one video pop here and there, but then like that would be like, oh my gosh, I can't believe we got so many views with that one video. Now it's like you could have one video do 10x, one do 15. Oh, maybe this one didn't do as well, but now this one did 50x and got like 1 million views. There's a lot more up and down in content than there was ever before. But that also means that your average views that you're getting have dropped a lot. So some people are like, I'm putting out content and like it sucks because I'm not getting any traction. It's a bit more difficult now. You got to put in a little more work. And then once you do though, you can get results really well.
Would you say that in terms of what you're talking about, which is what comes to mind, would you say that editing videos is more important?
No, honestly, less. I wonder if I can find an example here. Like some of the videos that have done the best for, like I said, like the one client, like it's a specific style of video, but I edited it myself in the Edits app. That's also one thing. Like the Edits app currently does have a slight algorithm boost than anything else. So like if you edit and post your video through Edits to Instagram, you get a little bit more reach than on average than Instagram CEO has also come out and said this on his story, has been like, yeah, right now there's a little boost because we want people to use the app, but eventually that'll probably go away. But for now, like utilize it, right? Utilize those things when they're there because they're going to be gone one day. But the Edits app and like literally like the video style I'm talking about is I put 2 text bars. One's like what the video is about. One's a this is why you should listen to this person. So he's a salesman. So it's $250 million salesperson reacts. Like he sold $250 million over the span of his sales career. It's like, hey, what's this video's about? This guy's reacting to it. Why should you care about this guy reacting to it? Oh, because you sold a shit ton of stuff. So if you're in sales, you're going to want to listen to this guy's opinion, right? And so then the other video plays from like the popular creator or whatever, and then he responds to it. And all I do is put text. Like there's no visuals, there's no B-roll. It's literally just him talking to a screen, giving value and text. But the difference between that working and someone else not working is he's very good at speaking because he's already a salesperson. So the way he talks is really intriguing. You want to listen, you want to hear what he has to say. And then also the technique, right? Like we're using the hook visually, text-wise. We have audio from someone else has already written a good hook for the video that we're responding to. So that drags people along, and then we're going to have average high watch time because he's then reacting to it. So it's like a 2-3 minute video. So that all combines for a really good result. But I would say majority of my content that I make now is like hyper focused on the strategy and technique. Once we nail that down, then we can start adding visuals in. But the more you start to add visuals in from other sources, then you're not getting that little boost from like using the Edits app, for example. Sometimes we take edited videos and put them in the Edits app, and I'll make a few small changes to try and get the app to think that like, oh, I made this video organically. But it's been up and down as far as like a consistent like case study as to still getting the results. But
yeah, I like that you said that. You know, a lot of people put a lot of emphasis into, oh, I need an editor. I need to have somebody editing these videos. I don't know how to do this. I don't know how to post it. I've done the Edits app. I've done the AI edit stuff. It's just like, you know, it always ends up being kind of catchy. It's fun for a little bit, but ultimately you're saying what's more important is the way that the attention is being grabbed by the viewer in the first
100%.
3 seconds of the video.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
I got it.
Structure and technique matter more than ever.
So I want to change it here a little bit because obviously people are hiring you to work with them to create their brand and grow their social media. Now there's a difference between getting followers, getting people to really trust you through your brand, and then just creating stuff to sell, right? Like there's always a different technique. So if somebody wanted to come in and hire somebody like you, what should they be paying for and what should they be asking? What are the right questions to ask someone to go, hey, dude, I want you to work with me, but how do I know if you're good? Like, what are those questions that they should be asking that person? Like, let's say they wanted to come to you. What do you want them to ask you? Like a true question of like, if this guy asks me these questions, I'm like, this is what we need to go.
I think the biggest thing is one of the biggest red flags I see is people promising like viral. Like, I'll make you go viral in 30 days or blah, blah. Like, you're basically just giving your content over to like a content farm, and they're going to put you in the system. Hopefully the system works for you. For some, it does. Like, obviously they get results or else they wouldn't be able to scale. But I've heard from a ton of people who join kind of those style of content, like farms, I call them. You just don't get the results you expect. And then also you don't get the attention to detail. Like you're a part of a system. You're just like, and there's nothing against it. Like you build a business, right, that you're not the front face of, right? You know, people are talking to VAs or they're talking to this, but you have systems and operations that you follow. With content, you can systemize a good amount, but at the same time, the difference between really good results and okay results is that attention to detail. This is a perfect example with Sam Gaudet and Dan Martell. Sam works closely with Dan and his team, is pretty much a creative director role of like overseeing all content ideas. How is it working? What are we testing? What are we looking at? How are we looking at the data? Like that level of care you're not going to get from like these kind of content farms. So things to ask is like, okay, like, hey, like how many clients do you have? If someone has 50 plus, you're probably not going to work with the person you're speaking to, or even that might even be a salesperson. You're probably going to just work with the system, right? You're going to have like a care coordinator. Like I said, those work, you're going to get results, but there's a big difference between like I said, oh, we're getting good results. We're growing a little bit. We're having a little sales versus like, I want to really grow this thing and make really good money. You want to look more for that kind of creator director role, or even like a content strategist, versus like hey, we'll get out 50 videos a month for you. That's number one. Two is as far as asking questions, obviously results. And for me personally, like it's really good for people to get results for their clients. Obviously that's number one. Like, hey, do you have people that you can show me right now that are getting good views, that have grown good accounts? Like I can show you, I would say like 90% of the clients I've worked with in the past have had some great success as far as either growth or sales that I can show. For that side, it also matters though, then like, hey, have you ever like been in social media? I think there's a big difference in like, Sam Gaudette, for example, is now utilizing all this strategies he does to grow a page to like 100K with just his iPhone. Super cool, right? But like that shows that like, oh, like not only do these techniques work for your clients, they work for you because you have, growth, you have consistent results. So it's like results for their clients, results for themselves. And then as far as like, other than that, I think the biggest thing is like anything, it's similar to like the weight loss and fitness space. Like if people are promising you crazy results, so they have this secret technique or people aren't doing this and I'm going to do it for you. And you're going to get, anytime someone's like saying they have the key, the secret, they're completely lying. No one has any and I would say if you even ask the Instagram CEO himself, he's like, man, I wish I could grow my account to 5 million overnight. And I'm the one who knows how the whole system works. But like, that's literally not how the system works. It's not meant to be able to like be, go into and, I'm going to get 10 million followers over the next year, right? Some people achieve that because they just put so much effort and work and crazy amounts of money and stuff into content. If you look at these guys like Hormozi, Martel, and et cetera, they have a 7-figure yearly budget for content. Yeah. Like that's why they have success at that level, So there is levels to this game for sure. I would say if you want to get to like 100K in a year, expect to spend 100K. If you want to just get a little bit of growth and start doing like, let's say 5 to 6 figures a month in coaching, I think you can expect to spend, 4 to 5 figures a month in content strategy and a manager or whatever you want to call it. It just depends on the results you want to achieve. Obviously, if you're just like, I just want to grow, then you can spend less. If you're like, I want to grow and make good money, you're going to spend more. I want to grow like a ton and also sell a ton, you're going to spend more.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought this up because one of the questions was like, shouldn't there be results regardless of what those results may be, right? I might come to you and go, hey, Danny, I want to work with you, but here's what I want. I want to at least see that we get 100 new followers every month or every week. I need some of my videos to have over 2,000 views. And I want to eventually start selling, some sort of product. Shouldn't that be like kind of, the reason I ask this is because like if somebody listening to this podcast right now can go, hey, well, what are the questions I need to ask her? Because I see them all the time. I mean, and I get messages on Instagram all the time. We talked about this before where it's like, hey man, I can get you 1 million views. And I'm like, dude, you just putting me on a bog watching my videos, I've had people do that without my consent. They'll just go into my videos and they just start throwing. I mean, we talked about that back in the day. This guy that came in is like, hey, I got you 50,000 views. And I'm like, dude, you just messing up my Instagram. I have one video with 70,000 views and then one video with like 3,000 views. And people are like, dude, come on, Yeah. And so if I were to come in and the reason I ask again is because if I were to go and hire somebody and go, hey man, this is what I want. Let's just say I come to you and I go, hey, Danny, I want to have, again, the 100 new followers once a week. I just grow consistently, I want to post one video a day and I want to eventually, get to a point where I can sell a product online or maybe even get some sponsorships. Like that's the goal. Shouldn't that person that I'm working with be held to those results if they're paying them? Definitely. Like somebody comes in and pays you? Because I've had situations where it's like, I've never worked with anybody else outside of you actually, which is kind of funny because I've always had my in-house team that does all my stuff for me. I've had people in my circle that have their own agencies or their own social media management deals. And then they're like, oh, they're charging 7 to 10 grand a month. And then at the end of the month, there's like absolutely zero results. And they're like, hey, we tried, but nothing worked. And it's like, well, you not owe me money back or at least like something here that needs to be like a result because I came to you. But if I don't, and I ask this because if I come to you and I don't give you my end goal in mind, then we're both kind of shooting in the dark, right? So shouldn't somebody, the whole purpose of why I'm bringing this up is if somebody out there listening to this podcast is trying to look for someone like you that they want to work with to help them grow their channel, should they not come already with a goal in mind of what it is that they want in terms of a deliverable from you to me?
Yeah, definitely.
Or am I looking at it the wrong way?
No, I think that's good. I think the biggest thing is though, is just like with coaching, you've been in the coaching space, right? There's two sides of it. There's, hey, we're doing the work we need to get results and we're not getting results. But there's also, we're doing as much work as we can, but you're also not living up to the expectations that we outlined that is needed to get these results. And honestly, I've ran into this a few times with business people as far as like, hey, like, yeah, we can reach these results, but this is what's going to take. And then if those things aren't met, like, oh, I can't shoot as much as I want to, or I thought I could. And then, man, like content, like some people just don't enjoy making content. And so that makes it hard.
Yeah.
If you want to achieve growth and you don't like it, it's tough to like force it because people can tell, right? So unless you're really good at two-facing, then it's difficult. And so there's twofold. There's definitely you should come into it with somewhat of a plan, but then also that person should be really upfront with you of like, hey, this is what it's going to take to get these results, and this is how much it's going to cost. And like the bad thing though is that like people just don't realize what that cost is. And so they'll go, oh, like someone will go, yeah, it's $5,000 a month for these results. And they'll go, oh, well, I'll go get it for 3. I promise you, what you're gonna pay the $3,000 for is to get into those content farms that is not gonna get you the results you want. Because I just know like what it takes now. Like they aren't coaching you on your speaking structure. They're not coaching you on these little things. They're taking what you're sending them and they're going, okay, yeah, we're gonna edit this into a pretty package. We'll get it up for you. 30 days go by. Oh man, the content's not working. Here's a few things we could maybe improve. But then like, let's try again. Like they're just trying to get you on a recurring payment. Like they're like, as long as we get some little results, and it used to work easier because you could do that and get decent results. Nowadays, it just takes more. So if they're not doing any sort of coaching aspect, like that's probably the most value that my clients see from me as far as like, hey, these videos are fine, but like, here's how we can make them better from a technique and structure point. And that's what's going to make it so that we can even get the results that you're wanting. That's number one. So if there's no coaching or structure or focus on technique, then, and they're just like, oh, we just get out 30 videos for you a month and hopefully one of them goes viral. No, it's not going to work. And that's number one. And then 2, like be ready to like, I have clients that just use an iPhone at home and we can make that work because you focus on the technique and structure and you make good videos in that and you give out good content and you can get results. You don't need someone to like be in person with a high quality camera anymore, as much as you used to. But like both techniques can work as long as the actual structure of the content is good, the speaking is good, the what you're giving out is good. That's the biggest thing. But yeah, what you get is kind of what you pay for in a way. But at the same time, you should definitely hold people to like the results. Like if someone's saying they're going to get videos for you, but they don't have hey, like here's the like for me, what I always, I don't like to promise certain numbers because it's like, we're going to find a formula that works and whatever that, some people that's $15,000 in 3 months. Some people it's a few hundred a month. Like it depends, especially when somebody's starting with 10K versus someone starting with 500 followers is a big percentage difference. But the average growth, I think for Instagram is like 2% a month, like for creators. So like if I'm achieving 5%, great. Like we're above average, right?
And see, so I love that because now you're tracking data and you know that you're staying ahead of the game.
Yeah. So there is definitely averages that like you should be meeting and exceeding. If like you're not even just doing that, then like I said, like the issue with that though, and I'll say is like, if you're already making kind of crap content, you could have a content farm come in and just on volume alone, they'll get you like slightly above average results. Right.
Yeah.
But like I said, like that'll die off. Then you'll get to that point where like, oh, we weren't together 6 months, 12 months. Like there's nothing happening. Like, what are we doing? Like we're getting decent results, but nothing's like standing out. Like that's where, like I said, the difference between someone coaching and finding those outliers and like really commanding growth. I call it like the command growth strategy. It's like, if you're not commanding growth, you're just kind of like, we'll just post content. Hopefully we'll grow. Hopefully we'll get some sales. Like, no, it should be a dialed in, like this is the strategy. We're finding it as soon as it works. We're executing on it. We're tracking the results. And then like this train won't stop. And when it does, we're going to adjust and do the same thing over again.
Yeah, I love that you said that. I mean, basically, and something I was alluding to is just come in with intention, right? Come into with intention on how you want to grow the channel with the person you're working with, and make sure you pick the right person. I was going to work with the guy that wanted to help me grow my YouTube channel, and I'm like, yeah, dude, let's do something together. And at the end of the day, I ended up not doing it because he's like showing me 3 or 4 very successful YouTube channels that he took to, a couple 100,000 followers, making all kinds of money through ads and sponsorships and all this fun stuff. And I'm like, that sounds awesome. How much would it be? Right. And he gives me this really high ticket thing. I think it was like $6,000 a month or something. And I'm like, okay. I'm like, but I want to see how many channels you're working with. He's like, well, he wouldn't tell me. And I'm like, okay, I also want to see which ones you haven't succeeded with.
Mm-hmm.
I want to know what it is that you're looking right now. That I want to see the ones that you went at and that they didn't succeed, and I want to know why they didn't succeed. I don't want to know the 2 or 3 good ones, because if you did 100 and only 3 succeeded, but you won't tell me about the bad ones and why, it tells me you're not learning and growing. And to me, I'm more interested. It's more important to me to know how it is that you're overcoming, because if I'm going to come in and start paying you this money and I just fall into your pool if I didn't succeed, then what am I doing? I want to know exactly how it is that you succeeded based on the results that we're getting, right? If you're not performing, I want to know why and how are we going to overcome it if I'm going to be coming into this deal. Look, you said something about recording with your phone, and I just want a brief answer on this because I want to pivot here. I have some other questions for you before we run out of time. But how important is it? I do a ton of talking head. This is a talking head. This is a talking head podcast. I can crop this and do talking head content. I do talking head YouTube videos. But I really enjoy where a videographer comes out. I did some really fun videos where we had a local guy. I think I reached out to you too. But we had a local guy come out to our properties and we recorded the property and he recorded me doing content in the property. And I had a lot of fun doing that, but it cost me a pretty penny. Right. So I'm like, okay, so how important is it doing talking head versus like actually going out and doing these like fun out in the field or, different style of recordings?
Like I said, it really comes back to the whole technique and structure thing. So I have a great example of this with my house flipping client. She, at the start of us working together, was always very focused on like quality. She's like, I want everything to look really sharp, smooth, all this stuff, right? And I was like, hey, I hear you, but like, let me test out what this content will look like via. So I started because I know that if I just was like, let me use my iPhone, she would be like, what am I paying you for? So I switched from the big camera to at least like a DJI handheld. And so at first we just switched to that. So it still had that little higher quality look, but it still was like much more accessible for me to like go shoot content without having to lug everything out. And so, it's not because like I don't want to, but like in my head, I know that we don't need to be doing all of this to get the results we want. In fact, I think we can get better results without it. And so we switched to the DJI. We saw a little bit bump in organic reach, right? And then I was like, hey, I know you want the quality. I want to follow the similar structure of video, but I think with the phone, we can do a little bit more kind of cool stuff. Here's what I was thinking. I had these different ideas for kind of more like question answer video hooks, and then some more like movement in the house that it's just easier for me to move around with a phone and get like quick angles and results. And so we switched to the phone. And that first month that we went from camera to phone, and to mention, like now I'm editing the videos strictly in edits from my phone video. Like it's the most organic it can get. It's like someone picked up their phone and started making stuff, right? Basically her average on videos went from like 2 to 3K to 6 to 9K just by that change. We did change a few like hook elements as well. So like I said, the technique and structure, but like technique and structure change, the visual change, it's obviously like the quality gap between like high quality and phone is definitely less now. I can still notice it immediately, but some people are like, oh, I didn't even notice. I don't know how that is, but it's true. If you're not a videographer or someone that like cares about that stuff. But yeah, like we saw great results just switching the phone, and it made it so that we could get more content done faster. Didn't have to worry about space and storage and battery. So like we could focus on the technique and structure. We had more time to like do it out, and then executed it and saw better results anyways. So a lot of the time, like if same with business, right? Like the more bottleneck you can remove to make it easier to make content, to make it easier to test and put volume out. Not volume as far as like, a ton just for fun, but like testing stuff. Like I want to put out 5 videos this week, but I want them to be all these different style videos so I can see what works for my audience and the one I'm trying to grow. Like your phone is just going to make that easier, right? Because anyone can do it. You can get a little tripod, like anyone can execute to make that happen. With a camera, like I said, you're having to think about hiring people, or you're having to learn and have this big setup. The only time nowadays that I suggest that people buy a high quality camera outside of their phone, or even a DJI is my next suggestion. The DJI Pocket Osmo 3, amazing camera for content creation. The 4 is coming out, but it's banned from the government for the foreseeable future. So you'll have to wait on that one. But the only time I'd ever say get a high quality camera is if you're doing consistent like content like this with like a podcast, YouTube. That's when I recommend upgrading, because then that there's a difference between like making iPhone YouTube videos and high quality videos, especially the talking head. There's still that difference there on YouTube as far as platform to platform. But for Instagram, man, like you do not need a high quality camera in 2026 for Instagram.
Yeah, it's funny. My entire setup here, a buddy of mine, he's like, I want to copy your exact setup. So I sent him links to all this stuff, and we ended up racking up like, I think it was like $3,000 worth of stuff. And I'm like, I can't believe I spent that kind of money on this equipment.
On my camera alone.
Yeah. Well, I only have a Sony ZV-10, right? And I didn't even add the lens to his because I'm like, you don't need the lens. I paid for the lens. So mine together was like $1,500. So I'm like, it's not that bad, but I use it for this.
Yeah.
Right.
Did you get a new?
So I'm like,
or are you still running the same one I recommended to you?
No, same setup. Yeah. Same setup.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the only difference I think is I think the lens is the one that you told me about. The only difference now is I have a little teleprompter deal that helps me when I'm recording some of because I have the school community again. So I just it helps me record like when I'm looking. I mean, I'm looking at you right now. I'm not even using it. It's just there. And then obviously I got some cool lights, but it's funny because for the longest time as I was recording content, all this stuff was sitting in a box.
Yeah.
When I stopped for a long time, I'm like, I'm not even using it. I was recording on my phone, all of it. And now I brought it all back out because I'm doing podcasts again. And that's all I use it for. I have this Rodecaster that's like overkill. I told them not to even buy a Rodecaster. I'm like, you don't need this. It's complete overkill, right? So anyway, look, we're focusing a lot on Instagram and shorts. And I want to kind of end it here and talk about platform and how important platform booking is and maybe working. My first question, what are your thoughts about working with people platform specific as opposed to just one manager for all of social media? So like if I were to work with one person that's a pro on Instagram, one person that's a pro on Facebook, one person that's a pro for TikTok, what are your thoughts on that? That's my first question.
If you can afford it, I think it's always good. I would say majority should be pretty good at all of them, but I would say the biggest two differences are TikTok and YouTube. Honestly, TikTok number one. TikTok's a whole other game. Like we post stuff from in the last 5 years that I've been helping people make content, we've had two clients have success via TikTok. So it is like content dependent. Like if you've been doing content for like a few years and you're not seeing anything, like that could be completely normal. Like it, honestly is a different game. And if you really want to grow in it, I would, hire a TikTok professional. Cause like, it's just a different style of content.
Yeah. That's why I asked too, because I know for a fact TikTok is super difficult. I actually stopped posting TikTok. My second question in terms of well, actually, I don't think you can finish answering. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, you're good. YouTube, definitely like there are some good specialists out there. Luckily, like YouTube is one of the first things I ever got into. YouTube itself now as a game it's very similar to Instagram in a way. It's way more algorithm focused than it was before. So it's harder to game the system. Really, it's just putting out consistent good results or good content and like good thumbnail, good hook, aka title, right? Like all that stuff is really what matters. The first 30 seconds of your video is what matters. Like if you know Instagram really well, you kind of know YouTube really well. Anyone that kind of tells you otherwise that they have the secret to YouTube, and honestly is one of the most common ones I see is like YouTube coaches being like, oh, like we have these great results and they know something that someone else doesn't. They don't. I had a client, YouTube, it is more difficult for sure. Like Instagram, it's a pretty proven formula. YouTube, I haven't had that same success as far as finding something that really works consistently. And I had one client actually who we were getting good results, but not as what we wanted. And I kind of tried everything I thought of as far as technique to do. Still wasn't reaching where we wanted to be. And then they were like, hey, I'm going to go try this other person. And I was like, no worries, all good. Like if I can learn something from them, great. They've spent now about 6 months with them and they're spending almost double the amount they were with me. And they've gotten less results. So and this is someone really big in the YouTube space. I'm not gonna say any names, but like their YouTube is what they're focused on. They're on stages. And like, once again, I told her, I kind of gave her a warning. I'm like, you're good. If they're this big, you're going to be in a content farm. Like they're going to have a system that they do for all clients. And like I said, they're banking on, if we get so many people in via ads and via content, via my name, then the success rate doesn't have to be high because you've already paid us. Right. So we're going to get your money. Hey, sorry, it didn't work for you. But then our 25% that it does work for, we're going to keep those long term and we'll just get everyone else funneling through. That's how those systems work. Like, I'm not trying to bust the bubble, but like, that's how it works. Like, that's why I've only ever, at the most, I've had 10 clients at a time, because like I want results, and I know that I can't spend my time with, 50 clients in a system and get the results I want for everybody. I've systemized what I can, and I have editors, I have, some AI processes, but like AI, that's one thing we could kind of finish on. AI will not write you great hooks. It will fill in details. It's great at script writing, but like the hook, which is the most important part of your video that we talked about in this video, like it's skip rate, your average watch time, those first 3 to 5 seconds. Claude, Gemini, ChatGPT, they all suck at writing hooks. And I've been giving them hooks that I've had that have gone viral 50 times. I'll be like, hey, this hook's gone viral 5 different times. Adapt from it and create some new variability, and let's, run those. Then those videos do terribly. And I'm like, okay, I'm just going to focus back on my brand. That's
yeah. I'm glad you brought that up. That was the last question I had. I wanted to talk about how it's all over the place right now. Oh, add this to your AI agent, or make a custom GPT, or create some sort of prompt for content and feed it all your information, and then you can drop out. One thing I have noticed, it's really good for like written Facebook posts, but it's not good for scripting like short form videos. It gives me great ideas because I use it. It gives me great ideas, but when I try to script it, I'm like, oh my God, this sounds like AI slop. It's terrible. And even when you train it to remove that stuff, it's even worse. But I have noticed that it does pump out really good written Facebook posts if you want to, do the written Facebook post deal. Which, what are your thoughts on that in terms of the writing style of posts for like LinkedIn, Threads, X, Facebook, aside from the video recording stuff?
I'll be honest, I focus mainly on the video, and like carousels will be like the second that I focus on. As far as written, like, I don't know, even then they're not fully written, they're like graphics, right? That's one thing AI is great at now, is like you can design some awesome carousel graphics, drop them into Canva, use the layer AI there, and like completely customize them yourself. So you basically get like a blank template of like great graphics that you can adjust completely. That's been the biggest thing that I've used AI for, to be honest. But yeah, AI, other than like everything else other than hooks, just don't use hooks or use AI for hooks.
Yeah.
But yeah, written posts, I think copy is decent with AI, but like I said, it's not something that I've consistently used. The biggest thing is with like YouTube descriptions and stuff like that stuff doesn't really matter, but you still want it to look good. It's easy to then utilize AI to like minimize that time that you're spending on, describing stuff. I don't spend a lot of time on like written product, but yeah.
Got it. It's funny because it's just, I mean, yeah, no, you totally can. I'm glad you said this, because the big focus right now, everybody thinks they can become an influencer now because AI is just going to pump out content for you.
I think it's
you saw a post earlier. Yeah, I think it's going to actually hurt you.
People are, I've had a few people in my like real life be like, hey dude, like, are you worried that like, AI is going to like impact your career? And I'm like, no, because like AI isn't as good as me. And I don't mean to say that like boastfully, but like the more I see AI content, the more I'm like, great. Because if you're great at making content, like if you're a true person, you can go in, write out a hook, write out the structure, and have something that performs, like, and also be real and personable. Everyone who's using AI is going to, for the next 5 years, sound exactly the same, right? Like they're all going to look and sound the same. And then you, whether you be a creator or whether you're hiring someone, if they're really good at what they do, like they're going to stand out amongst everyone else using the same freaking agent. Like, it's going to be easy for me to stand out.
Right. I think that the best way to use AI for your content is like, I use it for research and ideas when I run something, or like I'm stuck on something where I'm like, God, I'm tired of doing the same stuff. I need some ideas on what's like different things, and there's apps for that, stuff like that.
Absolutely.
But I don't, I use it for scripting. It's just terrible. Yeah. Yeah. It's just terrible.
Yeah. I have one client that I write pretty much the first like hook in 15 seconds with, and she's structured it with kind of filling out the rest for her because she's just busy. And we've had great results. Like, do I think we could have better if and this is something that I'm actually doing right now, is I was like, hey, we're doing great, but I would like to take over some more of these scripts. So like, let me, because I have the time and I want to do that. Because like, it only makes my job better if I can get better results for my clients. But like, yeah, like the scripting of like the rest, like I write out the hook, you script the rest, that has gotten great results. It does get a little more sporadic results than something consistently that I can track. But now, like I said, I'm like, hey, let me take over the script and let's see. So I'll have a case study for that in like 3 months. I'll get back to you.
Yeah. We've been, we hired a few people that have been helping us with our social media VAs, and they sent some scripts, and I'm like, these are totally AI written. And
Mhm.
I'm like, they're learning. They just started, but it's just, I'm like, some of these don't even have like a hook or anything like that. And it's like, you could tell. I mean, some of these
Yeah,
are like, but anyway, dude, listen, I appreciate you coming on. I
definitely.
just want to, you gave me a ton of good insight and context in terms of like what's working now. I mean, your framework is great. Give one last thing here for anybody interested, and not people that are like, I want to become an influencer, or I want to like give some details or like another tip or something that you think might help somebody stand out a little bit more within the social media world if they're already posting content, or if they're even thinking about doing something different in their niche or something like that.
Dude, I think honestly the biggest thing is like the less you can care about how you look and how you sound and like if it's going to be perfect and you just put shit out, the better. Like pick up your phone. If you're in investing, if you're in business, if you're in whatever, just talk about and show what you're doing and then rewind. If because it's hard for people to like all of a sudden be really good masters at hook writing, like or just naturally like, oh, I'm gonna say a great hook. It's difficult. So what I would do
Yeah.
is record the rest, record the hey, here's what I want to show you. Here's what's happening in my life. This is crazy. I need to let you guys know about this. Film that stuff. And it could be literally anything that's like, what did I learn the most today? What's the thing I overcame today in my investing or business or whatever it is? Like, what did I learn? What impacted me? What today triggered emotions for me that I can share with someone that might feel the same? What's a funny thing that I thought of? I literally just posted today. I just moved to Michigan. So I'm like, here's the difference I've noticed between Massachusetts and Michigan. And I was like, here's the three things. Like, is that going to pop? I don't know. But I was like, it's in my head. I'm going to put it out as a video.
Yeah.
Right.
I'm actually writing down an idea that you just gave me right now, which is funny.
And then go back and write it and just quickly like think of like, okay, how do I get people to watch the stuff that I just talked about? Record a hook that you think will work and then just keep track. Like after 2 weeks, okay, these are doing decent, but not as much. Like, where do I need to improve? My average watch time's low. Okay, my hook's not great. But once they get to the hook, like people are really liking the other stuff. So like, then you just need to reach more people. So, but just start caring less. Like the biggest thing I've noticed with people that I've worked with is the more open they are to ideas and like they don't have this like sense of I gotta follow this structure and look this way and have this sort of thing. It's a bottlenecks, right? It just okay, we can only make content smaller and smaller in this little box. The greater, the bigger the box, the more personable you're going to be, the more you're going to be great at making content, the more fun you're going to have doing it, and that's actually going to lead to results. Most people nowadays can do this on their own after maybe a little bit of coaching, but you'll learn it on your own if you just do it, right? So that's the biggest thing is like it's easier than ever, like I said, for anyone to pick up their phone and just start making content and find an audience. But something that was only kind of for the people who were already creators or whatever, and for the people that can afford them. Now it's like it's for everybody, right? The social media is huge, it's massive. You just have to know how to grab attention. So just trial and error, reps, just like you're going to the gym. Focus on your content on a weekly basis, and you'll get results.
Yeah, I like what you're saying. One of my biggest things why I tell people is to put content out. You got to have a reason for it. And for us in the real estate world or in the investing world, it's for credibility, right? Think about how many times you look at people or somebody recommend someone. What's the first thing you do? You go on Instagram and pull up their name and see what they have. And how big of it's just a cloud effect, right? How big of a difference is it when you see someone that has a lot of content and someone that has no content? I don't want to say followers because followers to me doesn't really matter. But if I see the content where I'm like, oh, look, they're dropping videos about what they're doing as opposed to 4 family photos that they posted 7 years ago. I'm like, I don't know, dude.
Yeah,
what are you doing right now?
Absolutely.
Like,
Totally agree.
You know what I mean? And it's not about the following deal. I know a lot of people out there get kind of like in awe about a following. They're like, oh my God, this guy's got 20,000 followers or 100,000 or 1,000,000 followers. Like he's got to be a big deal. And all of a sudden that's instant. That's more clout and credibility. But I'm more me personally, when I look at someone's social media to see what they're about, I'm seeing what they're actually posting and what's the information they're actually putting out, because that gives me enough information about them to know that what they're doing, then they're staying consistent and with the information that they're doing. Dude, one of the things that I'm doing a little bit different is I ask the guests to give something for the audience, right? Which you just did, which was awesome, and I appreciate that. But then I put in my 2 cents on what I picked up the best out of this conversation, or not the best because there's a lot of good talking points, but my kind of takeaway that kind of stood out.
Sweet.
And to me was the speaking coach deal that you said. Very, very, very unique. And I say that because, again, it doesn't mean it's the best thing that we found in the entire conversation, but it's just unique because I've never heard anybody say you should get a speaking coach for social media. But if you think about it, it makes a ton of sense. I can sit here and have a really good, charismatic conversation with you, and people are going to be intrigued because it's just a good conversation going back and forth, as opposed to, hey, Danny, how was your day? You know, so how do I succeed in social media today? You know what I mean? Like, people are like, what? So dude, I really like that. I appreciate you sharing that. That's something that I'm like, wow, even I would look into and be like, hey, maybe I should hire someone. With that being said, dude, tell everybody, how can they get a hold of you if they want to work with you, if they just want to reach out to you, they have questions, they want to just follow you. Give all your info, please, so everybody knows where to go.
My personal page is at Danny Mabley, DANNY and then that's just, I post fashion, weight loss, life. And then my actual business page is Return on Content. So at Return on Content, like I said, it's focused more on like, hey, we're going to put content out, but like what the results we're going to get, whether that be growth or monetary. We focus on results, right? Like that's the biggest thing. But we also tell you what it's going to take, what's going to take to get results, how much it's going to be, that there's a truth in that. And so like, that's one thing you're not going to get like, oh yeah, we'll do it for $1,000 and we'll get you like amazing results. Yeah. If someone tells you that, you're probably going to waste some money.
No, I love that, man. I appreciate you. It's honest, it's truthful, and there's no guarantees in the social media space regardless, right? But at least you're working for something specific. That's what we talked about, the data and the points and what's your result and the intention of doing this stuff. So, dude, this was great, man. I appreciate you coming on. Seriously, this was really, really good. And it was good catching up, dude. We hadn't talked in a long time.
Man.
So thanks for coming on, dude.